A commodity is a raw material that can be bought and sold, such as gold or coffee. Typically, we do not think of water as a commodity. It is something that we take for granted. Just like flipping on the switch, we expect light to turn on. As we turn on the faucet, we expect water to flow out. Water is an essential element of life, and humanity relies on water for survival. Today, I'm going to inform you some of the stunning research I discovered about water as I was researching for my big investment idea. First of all, I just said that we depend on water for survival. With water being traded as a commodity, there will be even more people who cannot afford to pay for water in the future. This is not a good thing, but unfortunately, we're heading toward that direction. This is a topic that's not new, but it is something that is gaining more and more attention in recent years. Here is an article from August this year. Water is now being traded as a commodity amid fear of scarcity. There will be, here is another one. Water shortages are coming. Aren't we prepared? And this was just from last month in October. This was about 3 years ago. Water is liquid gold. These articles are expressing the importance of water crisis, and it is one of the greatest challenges presented by a combination of human activities and climate change. Just to give you a few statistics to measure the severity of the water crisis, 771 million people don't have clean water close to their home. And every minute, a newborn dies from infection caused by lack of safety water and an unclean environment. I found a TED Talk presented by Seth Darling on the topic of invisible water. I thought it's a very fascinating perspective, so I wanted to share it with you. In his presentation, he showed that everything surrounding us are created by water. For example, in order to produce 1 gallon of milk, we need to input almost 700 gallons of water in order to produce 6 pounds of haze. And then we use those 6 pounds of haze to feed the cow, which gives us the 1 gallon of milk. That's a stunningly high number of water. He went on and gave us example about other products that also consume water, with the hamburger costing over 600 gallons of water. And then he went on further and explained that we can also quantify water usage on raw materials such as the clothes that we wear, the plastic we produce, or even our cell phone, our smartphone that costs about 3,300 gallons of water. As you can see, there's invisible water everywhere. And the amount of water we use is beyond the daily water usage inside our homes. The main water usage is in agricultural and industrial, not actually from the sink and toilet. Another piece of bad news is the water distribution. While there is a lot of water on Earth, only 3% of the water is fresh water. Out of the 3%, the majority of them are trapped in ice caps and glaciers. The other part is buried deep in the underground, which is not easily accessible. Only a tiny little fractions over here is the fresh water that's on the actual surface water, which is our lakes and our rivers on the surface. Well, it's not all bad news. The good news is that water cannot be used up. They just got recycled back through the water cycle by Mother Nature. However, as shown in this global water consumption chart, while the amount of water remains the same, population continue to grow, increasing the water consumption over time. We are consuming water at a much faster rate than the rate that Mother Nature restoring it back to the through the rain or snow. So we are the nexus to the solution for these issues. And it is nothing more than the 3R that we all know about: reduce, reuse, and recycle. I'll just mention recycling because that is the real game changer that can really impact the most. In order to speed up the water cycling process, we need innovation and technology. We need more water treatment plants that can clean our wastewater to recycle it back as clean water. We can also desalinate water, a process that removes the salt in seawater and convert it into fresh water. We can do it, but it is not a feasible cost, not at a feasible cost that we can scale up with our current technology. So that is where we're at today. Now, I would like to just circle back to my initial purpose of this research investment idea. Back in August 2021, President Biden introduced a plan for $111 billion in water infrastructure investment. And just last Friday, on November 5th, the $1.2 trillion bill, which included the water infrastructure plan, is passed. And investors have already rushed in and buying all these infrastructure stocks already. So is it too late now to jump in? Well, yeah, it's kind of a bit late, but the spending is spreading over 7 to 8 years time horizon. So I believe that there's still a lot of room to grow if you're in for the long term. But, I always have a crystal ball. So I actually, yeah, as always, just kidding. But I actually invested in a water company 4 years ago or so. So back in March 6, 2017, I bought a company called American Waterworks, which is the biggest publicly traded company in America. You might see them driving around in town. And I bought 30 shares, which is about $2,300 at the time. As of November 8th, when I was making this PowerPoint slide, now it's valued at $5,000. And that would give me at the gain of 117%. Think about it, 117% in just about 4.5 years. That's more than double of my original investment. That's good news for an investor like me, but not good news for the world as a whole. This is a real life evidence that water is the liquid gold and the price is going to go off the roof. I believe this trend will continue at a faster pace in the next decade. So in conclusion, I believe the water crisis is going to get worse over time as the population continues to keep growing, and climate change will create more extreme drought in more regions of the world. The price of water will inevitably continue to surge. Even if we're going to cut back on our water usage, we are only going to slow down the trend, not going to reverse it. Heavy capital investment is being spent to repair the water infrastructure of the country, which currently receives the letter D as a grade by the water agency, meaning our water pipes are too old, leaky, and even contaminated if left unfixed. I hope this speech informed you something new about the water crisis we are facing. The next time when you are consuming your other products, be wary of the invisible water that you are consuming, gallons, hundreds of gallons of water that are used to create them. Remember, water is already a commodity right now. It will only be a matter of time before it will cost the same amount of money for oil to get a gallon of water, if we don't make any attempt to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Back to you, Madam Toastmasters.